Music ended. Roll another one. That's not better. The movies also take itself way too seriously. I mean, showing a scene where a baby is tossed into a fire and people being decapitated in what is essentially a sappy soap opera doesn't actually make the story any more better. It's just show that you're trying too hard to branch out from a very rotten core of the book, which by the way failed completely because those scenes just pretty much add nothing. None of it actually like got you. I mean, me personally, none of that actually got me interested because it's basically still Twilight. You know, none of this is gonna happen to any of the main characters. And we all know that everything's gonna end up in a very fairy tale like route, basically. So yeah, like I said before, the director and the crew actually tried to make something from this, but try as hard as they might, they can pretty much suddenly have Blade and the Tom Cruise character from Interview with the Vampire, Lament or something, show up in the middle of the movie, and it still just gonna make it better because in the end it's gonna be just Twilight, a sappy love triangle, basically. But while I was watching this, there was a part where I thought this movie might actually be decent. It's still pretty bad, but it's mediocre. It's not bad, it's just pretty much it's mediocre. It's nothing special. It might even be entertaining at some point. This is the scene where they show in the trailer, pretty much the climax, where like the two vampire army clash with each other. And I gotta say, the battle scene was okay. It was better than I expected, basically. Yeah, it's a pretty mediocre battle scene. It's just flashy move and bad editing. It's pretty much like the new Spider-Man movies. But it's kind of better than the Spider-Man movie because, I mean, you can actually tell what is going on. You can actually like go, wow, they actually did it in a Twilight movie. That's pretty impressive. But it pretty much has scene that kind of looks like it comes from other movies. For example, there's a scene in Thor, the Thor movie, not the Avenger movie that came out in like 2008, where Thor was fighting like the frost giant and he slammed his like the hammer onto the ground and everything just go boom like that, right? And there was a scene like that from the guy who can control the element. He like slammed his fist into the ground, like the angle, the action was identical to Thor. And he breaks the earth apart and there's lava underneath. I'm like, yeah, okay, that is kind of interesting. Okay, that is kind of cool. And people start dying everywhere. Like the dead vampire, he got his head like taken off by the Michael Sheen character. And there's one more thing, man. Michael Sheen, the guy is like, I remember this guy from the Underworld franchise, and I mean, what happened, man? I mean, this movie successfully turned a cool, badass werewolf freedom fighter into a metrosexual zombie. It was one of the things that I just thought to myself during the whole film, like, Michael Sheen, what did they do to you, man? And here's the thing, people start dying. That guy from The Last Airbender got his head chopped off too. Bella used her Susan Storm power to shield some people. Dakota Fanning got killed by a bunch of wolves, and well, he died himself too, like got his head taken off by Kristen Stewart. Yeah. But then the movie it's like the movie like drew me in, like saying that, oh, it's gonna be good, and I actually took the bait and I'm like, wow, this is actually kind of entertaining. And then the movie just pretty much bitch slapped me in the face, like, gotcha, bitch, like that. I mean, the moment the Michael Sheen character died, the head gangster vampire, and Bella like burned his corpse or something, it turned out everything was a dream. Dude, I mean, for a second there, I thought that Twilight's gonna have some kind of a closure that is not a happy ending, and I thought there's gonna be some kind of consequences to the thing that happened. And then it turned out everything was a dream. I mean, this is cheap. This is really cheap. I mean, it is like in that movie Prince of Persia, you know, the one with the Jake Gyllenhaal in it, and when the part where he like was fighting Ben Kingsley, he's like rewind everything to the beginning of the movie, and so nobody actually died and no lesson were learned. This is basically that. Bella and her hellspawn almost caused a war, and there was no consequences to her action whatsoever. Everything that she did wrong, everything that she did, everything that led up to that point has no consequences. There was no consequences at all. And after like the guy like saw himself like die and like, oh, let's turn back. And they all turned back. And the Hellspawn couple just pretty much just live happily ever after, walk into the sunset. They actually have that scene, walk into the sunset. I mean, I actually heard that they were trying to do something different than the book, and I thought that, oh, they're gonna have a battle scene and then it's gonna be like, they're gonna have closure and consequences. Not everybody survived, there's casualties in the war. There's always a consequences for your action, but in the end they just turned like, nah, there's no consequences, everybody lives, everybody's happy. Woo! I mean, I just hate it when movies do this. I mean, I just don't like the idea of like everything can just be resolved like that. It's pretty much show laziness on the author's part. And this can be considered a fault of the director and the writer of the film, because they had a chance to actually turn this into something else, but they backed away. Maybe because of cowardice, or maybe it's the studio that's forcing them, I don't know, but it was a bad choice to make. And this is the last thing I felt after watching Breaking Dawn Part 2, is that it doesn't need to be 2 movies. I mean, this is apparent, it's clear. I'm not sure, but I think this Part 2 only ran for about 90 minutes, and the other movie pretty much the same length. But with editing, the whole Breaking Dawn movie can be condensed into one single movie easily. I mean, there is no reason at all besides money for this movie to be separated into 2 parts. As I said before, the Twilight book doesn't have any substances. I mean, I read the synopsis on Wikipedia, and it doesn't have anything. It's basically, they get married, she died, she comes back to life, the gangster got pissed off, and then they live happily ever after. All of that could have been condensed into one film. I mean, if Return of the King, a film that had 3 simultaneous point of view from 3 different groups of character, can be condensed into only one film. Sure, they have like an extended edition that came out on DVD, but that's the point of DVD. You can add more stuff in. But if Return of the King can actually be only one movie, what is the excuse of Breaking Dawn being 2? Now, I know they try to emulate the final Harry Potter book, but in Harry Potter case, I gotta say that it made more sense. If you watch Harry Potter, the part 7, Deathly Hallows 1 and 2, you could see that having 2 films made sense because there's so much thing that need to be told. I mean, find the Horcrux thing, and then Harry dying and coming back to life. So it made more sense for a book like Harry Potter to actually have 2 films. But in Twilight case, there is nothing at all that can constitute to being 2 films. I mean, this is one thing I actually hate, is because that you are milking this franchise to the last drop of blood. Because you know after this last movie comes up, it's going to disappear into obscurity. It's going to become like a joke for future generations, basically. Saying that, oh, there was this book that was so bad and made so much money and then just disappeared. There's no more Twilight after this, and they know that. And that is why I think there's 2 films, because they need the money. They need to milk every last drop of blood out of this franchise, because it's over. Damn, it's gonna be like half an hour or something, but that is pretty much everything I can say about Breaking Dawn. I mean, I can pretty much go back to my old format where I like criticize the director, the yada yada, but can't do this with this film because it's been said so many times. And this is basically my opinion on it. And as basically it's a very bad piece of film. It doesn't need to exist. It tries too hard to be something it's not. I mean, I give credit to the people working on it to try to break free from the whole Twilight core, but in the end they can't, because if they do that, they lose the fan base basically. And there's nothing that much to be said about the actors and actresses. They're all bland and cardboard cut up, but yeah, you can't blame them. This is what they got to work with, and this is all they had to do. So it's not their fault basically. And I'm just glad it's over basically. So yeah, no more Twilight movie until The Host came out. Yeah, in case you didn't know that, free from Twilight, we have one more extra bad movie coming out, which is The Host, also written by Stephanie Myers. And it's basically Invasion of the Body Snatcher. If you've seen, it's a classic movie. Go watch the original black and white one. And it's basically love triangle but with aliens. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be as popular as Twilight, because the book itself wasn't that popular. It got popular when Twilight became popular, so I don't think it's gonna make that much money. But yeah, I mean, that's all I guess. Thank God it's over. I can go watch something else right now, something like Life of Pi or P, I'm not sure, and Cloud Atlas and Wreck-It Ralph, Rise of the Guardian. I can only watch Argo right now, so yeah. So this is the Thai Terror, and until next time, Sawadee Krap.